back to Sage and Stone Homestead. My name is Heather. This is Farrell. Farrell is just over 7 weeks old now, and I am starting to wean him. So right now he's only getting 2 bottles a day. He was getting 3 bottles a day. And when he turns 8 weeks old, he's gonna start getting 1 bottle a day. And we'll see when I have the heart to finally wean him off of a bottle. So it seems like winter's finally here. It, you know, made a very short but very hard appearance last December when we had that really intense cold snap. This is more what we're used to as far as winter goes. It's just a little bit later. Normally we will freeze at night, but we'll warm up to above freezing during the day. It is kind of a relief to see weather like this, if I'm being honest, because I'm still kind of worried about it. I really didn't want the super warm spring to be an indicator that we were gonna have another really, really intensely hot summer. So I hope that's not the case. All done? All done? That's it. That's it. All done. You're a good boy. I don't have a bottle. No, it's gone. It's gone. Can you guys see that down there? Those are tomato seedlings. Those of you that followed my garden season last year, remember that I had a really amazing volunteer tomato that came up in this space. It was actually a currant type tomato, a yellow currant tomato. It's actually one of my favorite types of cherry tomatoes to grow. They have a really great umami flavor. A lot of yellow tomatoes are really underwhelming in their flavor, but this one was so amazing. And I didn't actually have any seeds to start this year, so I was hoping that we'd have some volunteers. And it did freeze last night. It was 24, but right now it's 41 in the greenhouse. So I don't know how cold it got, but not cold enough to kill those seedlings, which I'm super happy about. These seedlings over here, these are frost tolerant. They're not growing really quickly. I've got carrots, radishes, and a lot of different lettuce seedlings, but it's cold at night. And when it's cold at night, even stuff that's frost tolerant doesn't grow super quickly, but it stays alive. When the nighttime temperatures are consistently warm, let's say in the 50s, everything, including the frost tolerant stuff, will grow really rapidly. Good morning, girls. How are you? So of course I have a goat due in the middle of this normal cold snap amidst the abnormal warm snap or warm spell that we've had. How you doing today, Marge? I'm gonna guess that that was a stretch and not a contraction. But Margie is due on the 17th. Today's the 15th, so really any time now. Which is why I have her locked up in a stall at night. Here, Mama. What are you doing? Okay, you still got ligaments back there. Why are you limping on that leg? Hmm? What did you do? So I'm noticing that Margie is favoring this front right hoof a little bit. So I usually like to give my girls a little bit of a pedicure before they kid anyway. So she's due for it, and I want to kind of get a hold of her and see what I think might be going on. Her feet look really good though. This one does. She barely needs a trim on this side. You see this? What's going on in here? Foot looks okay. Sometimes as they get bigger and heavier, they can have a little bit of a flare-up of arthritis. Margie is not one of my younger does. She's in her prime. I think she's 6 years old. It's a little bit hard to tell her age because she was a rescue. I didn't rescue her myself. One of my friends did, and my friend doesn't really know how old she was when she got her. It was just a guess based on her teeth. That's how a lot of vets can age horses, as far as I know, and goats, by how worn down their teeth are. So it could just be arthritis, but I'm gonna have to watch her. Holy cow, and I need to sharpen these bad boys. There's nothing that I can see on her externally, and I wanted to show you my barn salve that I have. So this is actually made for people, but I bought it for my goats. It has comfrey, plantain, white oak bark, eucalyptus, buckthorn, calendula, chickweed, marshmallow, lobelia, burdock, wormwood, slippery elm bark. And it's in olive oil and beeswax. So this is made locally, and it's made for sprains, strains, bruises, really kind of anything. And I just put a dab of it on where it seems to hurt. light on it better already. No, not yet. Not yet. Back up, back up, back up. Are you guys ready to come out? Huh? Probably you can tell on camera it looks like it's raining inside the barn. So this is the section where we did have part of the roof blow off in a windstorm not that long ago, but the entire barn is sweating. There's a lot of condensation on our barn because it's cold outside and it's much warmer in here, and where that cold and warm air meet, and it collects on the roof of the barn and then drips down. When we redo this barn roof, we're going to be putting up some kind of vapor barrier or condensation barrier so that this doesn't happen. It's kind of annoying. Don't touch, don't touch. Don't touch. Come on, Jenny. Go get your baby. Go get your baby. No, back up, back up, back up, back up, back up. Back up, back up. So normally I wouldn't have my does locked up at night with their kids this far after giving birth. Shani gave birth to her babies a week ago, but one of her babies, this brown one, he tends to get lost. 2 times since he was born, he's gotten lost way out in the field, and I don't know what happens. I honestly think, after watching him for a little bit, I think he thinks the dog is his mama sometimes, since Mars is also big and white, and I think he follows the dog way out into the field, gets separated from the herd, and then doesn't know what to do when the dog, you know, doesn't treat him like a mama. So it's because it's really cold at night, and it's obviously really dangerous just to be out in the middle of nowhere for a baby goat away from the herd. I've been collecting Shani's babies and Shani and putting her up at night, at least for now, until during the day that brown baby can, you know, get a grip and stay with the herd. Mochi, come here. So I don't know if you guys caught it, but we did name this little guy Mochi. He's gonna stay here on the farm with us as a wether. We have us a boba, and I was thinking about what other things do we buy from the Asian market that we also love. Boba and now Mochi. Mochi's mama's really loud. I'll be back later. Come on, May. Good girl. So this here is Tempest. Tempest is a first freshener, which means she's only had babies once. She had twins about a week ago, and she does still have Mochi on her. I did sell her little doeling as a bottle baby, and the bottle baby is doing great at her new home. As single babies sometimes do, Mochi is favoring one side. So you can probably see right here that one side of her udder looks a lot bigger than the other side. That's because Mochi prefers her right side, and so I'm having to milk out the left side, which is completely fine. We do a kid share with our does, which means that we will milk our does alongside their babies eating, and then when the babies are 2 weeks old, I'll actually separate the babies overnight so that the mamas get a chance to fill up, and then I'll milk mamas in the morning, and then the babies get to be with their mothers and drink their milk all day long. The babies that we've got on the ground right now, they're not old enough for that yet, but I'm still getting a heck of a lot of milk out of Tempest. Tempest's udder is actually our first Havoc udder that we're getting to see on our farm. Havoc is our main herd sire, and I've had him for a couple years. I kept Tempest back out of 2022, so she's a year old this year, and I've been very, very impressed with Tempest's first freshener udder. So Tempest is out of one of our does called Barely, who has probably one of my least favorite udders on the whole farm, but it really seems like Havoc really has improved the udder that Barely has. And that's really the goal of breeding the goats. It's not just to get them to have babies in order to get milk. It's definitely a very major goal that we have here, but ultimately we want to be improving upon the parents. So Barely, she's on my cull list because I don't really love her udder. I don't love milking her udder, but her daughter here, Tempest, I'm not minding it at all. It actually is a really great improvement. Havoc has given her a wider udder with more capacity, a better midline, and better placed and longer teats. So I've really been enjoying milking Tempest. I really wasn't sure that I was going to keep any more does out of Barely, but paired with Havoc, I probably will. I've talked in past videos about how when I'm milking does who are still feeding their babies, especially in the very beginning, they'll hold back milk for their babies, and Mochi favors her right side. She's giving me all of the milk out of her left side, but she's holding milk on her right side because that's Mochi's side. It's fascinating to me what their bodies can do. She's definitely holding milk specifically for Mochi on his preferred side. So you see Mochi and this baby here playing. Brown baby is out there by the dog. His mommy's right here. Brown baby, what are you doing? Can you come be a goat? There you go. There you go. I mean, you're a good boy, but you can't feed him or anything. You can't. I'm not getting a whole ton of milk out of Shvenny yet because her babies are only a week old, so I haven't been separating them at night. And Shvenny is needing to be worked into the routine again, so this is good. She's my most skittish goat that I have, and this time especially, she's really not enjoying being milked. She's tolerating it pretty well. If I were to hobble her or put that loop around her foot like I do for my other goats, she would freak out. And so that's why I don't do it. So I've just been bringing the smaller milk pail. This is my Nigerian milk pail underneath of her and getting out what I can. Holding on to the milk pail really helps me move the bucket as quickly as possible, but it really won't be long before she's back into the routine and I'll be able to use my large milk pail and not be afraid that she's gonna knock it over. Some people milk back here. I can't finagle it. I can't figure out how to do it where it works out to where their teat isn't at an awkward angle. Maybe it just depends on the goat. No, I can't figure it out. It's not natural for me. Can you let some of this milk down? Ah, there's a lot in here. Look at how much Margie has dropped. I feel like she's dropped even since this morning. You're walking better, aren't you? Oh, okay. Of course she's gonna pee as soon as I put you behind her. But I feel like her ligaments have softened even since this morning. It looks like her babies have dropped. She's walking better on her foot, which is great. I know for sure that her udder has the ability for more capacity, so I don't think she's gonna have them during the day today, but I'm not going to exclude that she might have them tonight. So we do have another randomly warm day amidst our, actual winter right now, and that day is tomorrow. That would be fabulous if she would have her babies on a nice warm day. So I'm milking Pesky last at the moment because I'm having to dump Pesky's milk. You can probably tell a little bit on her back end. Maybe you can't because the lighting in my milking parlor isn't the best. But she was scouring the other day and I had been watching her because she did start up with some clumpy poops probably a month ago, and I did a fecal on her at the time, and I did see some strungoloid eggs. I'm probably butchering the name of it, but basically some stomach worm eggs in there, but it wasn't enough to warrant worming her at the time. I should have kept a closer eye on her and counted eggs maybe 10 days later, but I didn't. So when she came up with the scours, I knew exactly what dewormer to give her because I had a really good inkling of what she was dealing with. I've been using a specific dewormer chart based on species, and I'll link that chart in the description box below. So from what I've read, it's actually decently impossible to tell the difference in species when you just see a strongyloid egg, but that specific worm, or those specific worms, do generally respond well to white wormers. And the white wormer that I use here is Panicker, and I think that maybe where I've gone wrong in my worming routine in the past was trusting the advice that I saw on the internet. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. You really can't base what you do with your herd off of what I do with my herd or what anybody else does with their herd. Even my friends, Megan and Reagan, who live 20 minutes away from me, they probably can't take my advice. They need to really look at their herd and see what they're dealing with specifically in order to treat them specifically. So I had read and seen everywhere not to use Safeguard dewormer because Safeguard has massive resistance. Safeguard and Panicker are the same thing. It's the same active ingredient. And when I learned that, I was really confused at why it seemed to work here. And it works really well here. It works when ivermectin seems to not. But here's another thing that I didn't understand. Strongyloid worms don't respond super well to ivermectin. So I wasn't treating my goats prior to getting my microscope. I wasn't treating my goats with the proper dewormer for the worms that they had. It's been super interesting to see that in action because I have seen whipworms in a different goat. It was actually Titus, her baby, and the whipworm eggs were of a number that concerned me, and so I gave Titus ivermectin. Whipworm responds well to ivermectin. I saw that in my retest of his fecal. So in that case, ivermectin made sense for him, and it worked for him. I didn't have to follow up with any other kind of dewormer. Previously, I would have first gone for ivermectin because it's the easiest to give. I give it subcutaneously in an injection. And then if that didn't seem to work, I would give Panicker. And that cycle is something I'm trying to get out of because I really don't want to be creating resistance, and I don't want to be wasting money and wasting milk when I have to withdraw for 2 separate wormers in order to treat my herd. So getting the microscope was a really great choice. It was a really great investment, and it's helping me make really intentional decisions for the herd that really is increasing the health of the herd, and it's increasing my confidence as a producer. I see a lot of advice out there, especially on really well-known and really well-respected websites like the Tennessee Meat Goat website. They will specifically say, don't use white wormers. And I don't know why, because it does work here, and we're not that far from Tennessee. Now, in order for these wormers to work well for me in the future, I really have to use them mindfully, which is why when I saw the worm eggs in her specifically, they weren't at a certain threshold where I felt like she needed to be treated, and I watched and I waited. That's why I did that. Now, I did wait too long. She shouldn't have had to scour, but she stopped scouring basically with the first dose, and by the 3rd dose, she got her appetite back, and she's been doing great. And I only have to withdraw her milk for 120 hours.
Good boy.
Who do you have?
Mochi.
Mochi.
Mochi, Mochi,
Mochi, I think, is polled. He feels like he's giraffe polled.
I like giraffe polled.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So a giraffe poll is when they are polled, so they are naturally hornless, but you feel this little mound of basically bone. It's probably bone right where the horn buds would be. This mound isn't pointy and it never breaks the skin. So Havoc is giraffe polled, and so is Tempest, and so is Boba. We've got a few of them here. Look at her. You feeling it? Yeah, she's starting to lose them, I think. So guys, we're on baby watch officially once again. Margie is probably going to be delivering her babies really soon. I'm going to do my best to video it for you and put it up here on the channel. I'm going to say that she's having 3. I've had Margie for a few kiddings now, and I don't think she's ever looked this big. She's bred to Odie, who is quite tiny himself, and so I really feel like there's probably 3 babies in there, but we'll see. We'll see really soon.